Have you ever been working on anything or something and you need a hammer, but all you have at the moment is something like this? Screwdriver, wrench, adjustable wrench. We all know when we have these in our hands, we have to pound something. We're using the back of this. You can see this has certainly been used. The side of an adjustable wrench, banging on a boxing wrench or something like that. That's not what these are designed for. Of course, it can ruin them, can be damage them. However, I know we all do it, including myself. The real question here is, when you do need a hammer, are you reaching for the right one when you go to get one? Welcome to Shane's Main Shop, where I cover a wide variety of topics, such as how-to, home improvement, some auto repair, some woodworking videos, as well as I do some funny videos of my life stories, and if I go away, I try and get some video of some of the places I go. So anyways, thanks for swinging by, and stick around. Alright, as you can see, I've put together a small collection of hammers here that I have, some of which I use often, some I don't use hardly at all. By no means is this the end-all selection of hammers out there, but this will give you an idea of some different choices that you have. So we'll just start over here and work our way across. This is a lead hammer. You can see it's pretty banged up, but this is used in something that you don't want to damage what you're pounding on. It might be metal. You got to move it, but you don't want to damage it, and a rubber hammer is just not strong enough. It'll just bounce off. So that's a good use for a hammer like this. It's very soft, so this is going to give way before what you're pounding on. There's also brass hammers. I have one of those too. I just couldn't find it for this video. That'll do the same thing for certain jobs. The brass will give away a little bit quicker than what you're pounding on. Then you move into kind of your construction hammers. Now, a lot of people don't look at these that closely, but you can see, they're both pounding in nails. This is a really old geezer here. I don't use it very often. But the big difference with these is the claw on the back. I'm not really sure what the title for them, the difference is, but I would consider this more of a construction type hammer that you use for getting in behind and prying them out, boards off walls, 2x4s. And this type of a claw is much more suited for pulling nails in some cases, because you have much more of a range. Once you hook that nail, it's got much more of a range to pull that nail up versus this. In some cases, there's no one's probably not better than the other than if you're trying to get underneath something. This one is hard to do it with because you have to have it tipped down so far to get the teeth back underneath there, where this one can be stood up much straighter and accomplish the same thing. So that's also a little bit of a difference for those two. As far as pounding nails, they both do the same. Obviously, this one's much heavier, so you're going to be able to pound in your spikes a lot easier than something lightweight like this. And again, there's a range of sizes in these. This is just a couple. I just wanted to kind of show both ends of the scale here for those. And then, of course, you move into your sledgehammers. I use these quite often. This one, you really want to move something. You're not concerned about damaging it, because this is not going to really give way. I mean, I do have a couple of chips off this one. If you're trying to, pound something that's really stuck, that may be something you're heating up and you're trying to break it loose, this is great for that. And I got a couple examples of those here. This one here is just a real older one, probably antique, the head of it. So, but again, two examples of sledgehammers, and there's different weights of these too. Much heavier ones, much lighter ones, depending on what you're trying to get done. A good example is this one over here off the side. It's a great big long handle sledgehammer, which actually needs a new handle, as you can see. But again, when you're really trying to move something big, a beam, a heavy beam or something like that, that's where something like this would come in handy. You wouldn't want to be putting nails in with that. So as you can see, hey, there's a hammer for the job. You wouldn't want to move a great big beam with this because it just doesn't have the mass to do it. And you certainly don't want to be using this to pound nails in, because your arm would be dead after the first nail. Then we move into some ball peen hammers. This is really designed for metal work, metal stuff like that, because if you pound onto like sheet metal with this here, you can actually cause that metal to contour, because it's going to make little indents. So you don't use these for pounding nails. It's more for body work or metal work or fabrication, stuff like that. That's where these would come in. And again, huge variety you can choose from. This is a very, very small one here compared to, say, this one here is a much bigger one. Again, it all really depends on what you're trying to do and what you're working with. And And another example I just want to show you of a ball peen hammer here, really, you know, it's in between the two. But this one here I picked up probably at a yard sale, dirt cheap. This is another a good way to get tools. It didn't have a handle, and I just, you know, I just carved this out. This is a long time ago. I did this hammer, I think, when I was a kid, and just kind of carved this out quickly. It's really kind of, you know, rough, but it's been in there a long time. Works very well. Pound it in. Also, I put a you know, a wedge in there to you know, hold that head on there really good and tight. So that's, you know, that's kind of an example of that. Those, but from those, I'm going to move up here because we talk about fabrication metal and stuff like that. These are Bodywork hammers. Now, I'm sure I don't have the technical name for all these. Somebody out there, certainly feel free to put it down in the comments. I have a couple more choices to choose from these. But again, this is for doing body work on a car, for fabricating the metal if you had to get into a corner. Lots of times you'd have a weight on the back side so you can kind of control it. You know, a heavy steel weight. But again, you know, for body work, you got a square one, you can form up against tight different areas, or if a rounded area you have to get into. So that's kind of what those are for. Again, wouldn't use these for moving big beams, wouldn't use them for putting in nails, but they're certainly perfectly functional for doing body work if you have a dent in your car or something like that you're trying to fix. Now this here is, I'm not exactly sure what this is used for. What I've used it for is like if you're doing welding, you gotta, you know, get the slag off. It's really, it doesn't go to enough of a point for that, but I have used it for that. It's kind of got a really, it's a square end here, so if somebody knows a specific use for this, it's an old one, it's probably antique. I have had it for a long time, but you know, I use it for that, and I've used it for a few other things, you know, stuff like that. So it's kind of an unusual one there. Same with this one here. It's kind of like a sledgehammer, but it comes to a point on the back. So again, if you know, I've used it for welding, you know, and cleaning up the slag on the back, or trying to, you know, bend something that I need a, you know, a long crease in, and I can use this to go along it to form it. So that's a choice that I would go to for something like that. Now moving up top here, aside from those, of course, is more into your rubber hammers and stuff like this. This is some sort of a composite rubber that's very old, so it's actually hardened up, but I still use it for certain things. It doesn't have as much give as it did probably when it was brand new. It's been around a long time. But again, this is something that, you know, you can use to, if you're working with wood and you don't want to damage it, stuff like that, or plastic and you just gotta, you know, move something or whatever to get it to line up, something like this would work. Now this here is, well, let's go on to this one. This is a rubber hammer too. And again, I've got probably 4 or 5 other sizes that look just like this, just different sizes. Great for pounding on stuff that you don't want to damage, wood, if you're trying to line something up. But also there's wood mallets for that as well, which I don't have one here. But, you know, you certainly can use something like this to move something. Or if it's something that's, you know, that you can really pound on pretty hard, but you don't want to have it jar, you know, like you would with a metal hammer. You want to have a little bit of give. You would use something like this. And this one here, I think this is rawhide wrapped in a coil and pulled tight and soaked in something. I haven't used this a lot, but there has been a couple times where I've gotten it out to move something or pound something that I didn't want to damage and want a little bit softer hammer. So that's, you know, that's another option here. It's kind of like a leather now. It's pretty brittle now. It's old. It's a little chilly in the garage too, so it's going to make it a little bit harder. But that's another choice for a hammer you would go to if you don't want to damage what you're pounding on. A little bit more of a blow to this than a rubber hammer because it's a little bit harder, but not hard enough to damage metal or wood, you know, especially a hardwood or something like that. So that's another choice you'd go to there. Anyways, as you can see, there's quite a variety that you could choose from depending on the job you're trying to do. There is obviously tons more you can choose from when you go shopping, go to yard sales, whatever. You can pick up a lot of these type of things, put new handles on them or something like that. This one here is actually just a metal pipe with the lead on it. So, you know, that was cheap to do. But hopefully this kind of gives you a little bit of information on hammers and the different hammers that are out there. I looked around to see if I had any other varieties. I know I have a couple others I couldn't find at the time of making this video. But anyway, this is a good start. Well, thanks for swinging by Shane's Main Shop. Please like, comment if you have any information on any of these hammers you saw here, or if you have an interesting hammer I'd like to hear about as well. I know there's a lot more others out there. And please subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate everybody's support so far. It's been fantastic. And we'll be back next Tuesday for another Tuesday video. And as always, have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye now.